Hello everyone, welcome back to my equestrian lifestyle channel. And if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe to become part of our equine and lifestyle adventures around the world. Today I wanted to show you our everyday routine at the stables. These are days we aren't training for shows or jumping in lessons. Sometimes I alternate our routine and take Ablesse out into the country to release some of her hot and fizzy energy. Other days we focus on stretching her back. So what I'm doing here might look a little bit weird, but what I try to do before I ride her every single time is I try to stretch out her front and her back legs. I like to stretch out the horse's muscles before we move. If you think about it this way, horses' muscles are like elastic bands. Although a horse may appear to be moving from an outward observation, but in actual fact, those elastic bands could be compromised in some way, become brittle, stiff, about to break. Before I ride, I like to stretch out the front and the back muscles just to make sure that everything is a bit loosey-goosey. It may look strange what I'm doing, but you got to stretch out the horse's legs as much as possible. What I mean by possible is stretching it just a fraction at a time. Do not go overboard. I would recommend reading up on how to stretch a horse's legs before you follow my guidance. I'm not showing you how to stretch a horse's leg. Go and read a book about it or take a course or a lesson to do it the proper way. The next thing I like to do before I get on my horse is actually stretching my own muscles. Heaven forbid that I end up pulling a muscle or a hamstring or a quad or getting a pinched nerve because it's quite painful. The next thing I do is just do a full check over of all my gear. I am lucky enough in South Africa to have a stable hand who tucks up my horses for me as I'm making my way from home, which is a 38 to 40-minute drive from my house to the stables, and it's early in the morning right before work, so sometimes I need the horse to be tacked up before I even get there so I can ride and then untack, put it off and then go. I used to own a GoPro Cube. It's quite an old one that my dad bought for me from Germany, I think about like 10 years ago. So it's a really old GoPro and it had the software capability on my old iPhone to be able to connect to the GoPro so I can actually see. This is just me putting it in my pocket and making sure that the GoPro is actually recording my riding. Oh. Whole body is clicking. Okay, so apart from me sounding like a very old hag, I usually use this area as a mountain block and then I start making my way down to the dressage arenas. Ananda Country Base has 2 dressage arenas by the stable block, and one is a normal sized dressage arena and the other one is slightly smaller. I think it's like 2/3 the size of a normal dressage arena. Don't quite know the specs, so don't even ask me. But yeah, that's usually where we end up doing some flat work training. There is a 3rd dressage arena that is by the jumping ring on the other side. I've enjoyed stabling at Ananda Country Base with Ablesse for a while now because it has all the amenities that I could need compared to the previous yards we were at, which we did hop to a lot of different yards unfortunately. But out of every single yard I've been in South Africa, this one has been the best yard that we have ever been to. I am thinking of making a video about all the things that I really enjoy about ICB, so stay tuned for that type of video. Okay, on to the flatwork exercise. I will point out here though that this is a very light or easy exercise regime that we have. There's kind of an ongoing schedule. We do this about maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and it does not actually increase Ablesse's strength or fitness, but it is good for her circulation, her mental well-being, and weight loss because she does tend to pick up a lot of weight on her belly. So, and it's good for her circulation because she has had a lot of issues with viscosity of the fluids between her joints, as you know, over time horses' joint fluid does get less viscous as well. So it's good to keep up the circulation and keep stall boxed horses moving a lot.
Loosey goosey.
What I usually like to do in these easy exercise regimes is to get her walking very loosely and put her neck all the way down to the ground. Then after about 10 minutes of walking, I get her to trot, and trotting is usually between a 10-minute interval, walk for 5, trot for 10, another 10-minute interval, and then do the same thing on the other rein. And if she puts her neck all the way down to the ground and stretches out her back muscles, I always reassure her or give her a pat or say good girl, because then she's doing exactly what I want her or need her to do in order to help herself. Now, with older horses, because Ablesse is older than, 15 years, most horses mature differently. She hasn't really physically and mentally aged better than other horses, so I have to keep her in constant exercise. And exercise for the senior horse is very important because it combats arthritis, muscle deterioration, and also stiffness. A simple rule that I like to go by: increasing warm-up time, decreasing the intensity of the work, and decreasing the duration of the exercise, and then also increasing cool-down period. What I usually do is I warm up for about 20 to 30 minutes, and that is intervals between walk and trot. And then after that I warm up, then I look at the intensity of the program, like flat work exercises, dressage exercises, pull work, and I shorten the amount of time for that exercise. Ablesse is a very impatient horse, and once you do an exercise maybe once or twice, you can't really do the same exercise again. Even if you stuff it up a couple of times, she gets bored of it and then she won't want to carry on with the exercise. So you have to constantly be changing up your regime, because she is a very bright and smart horse, and she has ADHD like me, so she loses focus very easily. Then once I've finished with the exercise, then I will maybe do about a 20-minute cool down period, and that will mostly comprise of very stretched out trots and then a loosey-goosey walk again.
Back up, back up, back up, back up.
Over the years of training horses, I've learned that cantering is actually a lot better on the horse's joints and ligaments than trotting. Cantering very light or with the forward seats will help him to actually stretch out his muscles, which is exactly what I do for Ablesse in these type of exercises. Also remember to give your older horse a break, because they can't do the same level of intensive work as they used to when they were a lot younger. So now that I have finished warming up, doing a bit of exercises and cooling her down, I usually like to untack her, cool her off, and put her in a paddock where she can actually roll and be happy, because a happy horse is a healthy horse, and a happy horse will do anything for you.